That's right. It is the morning show right here on Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and of course on all of the social media platforms known as Stitcher, SoundCloud, also Apple Podcasts, and much, much more. We welcome you to today's show. We'll be joining in just a bit with our ABC News radio audience, KMET 1490 AM. If you don't have the app, you should download it. It's free. Of course, you can not see us, but you can hear us 100%. Just download that at KMET 1490 AM. Speaking at the KMET booth over there, we got Mr. Jesse Sanchez. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
So, lots of news happening, obviously. I don't think there's a day that we haven't spoken about the dreaded coronavirus. However, there's some late news that's been coming out, one of which is putting a little hamper on HIV. You know, we haven't had HIV much in the news as of late, but it kind of begs the question, what's going on over there, right?
Oh, right.
So we'll talk about that. We've also got some other news stories. Also coming up around the corner, we actually have a really good guest talking to us about how to support your immune health. Look, obviously there's no cure for coronavirus. However, around the corner, as we all know, we're entering the fall season, and in the fall, some of us fall sick just with a regular common cold and or flu. So what can you do to actually get yourself leveled up, literally, and what can you do to amp up your energy, right? I got a lot of questions for this next guest, but we'll be joined around the corner with Pam Nisovich-Bede, who recommends lifestyle tips to help fight off illness during the cold and flu season. But you know what? It kind of begs the question, Jesse. I don't know about you, but if you were to get the flu and or cold, would you know if it's that or coronavirus?
Good question. I have no idea. Knowing me, I'd probably panic and say I have the coronavirus.
And honestly, I think testing really needs to get like next level, because I think what's going to happen around the corner, and I hope they're preparing for this, obviously, with the cold and flu season coming, a lot of people, I mean, I don't know about you, but did you ever see like symptoms on something? You go, oh, I have like 3 of those symptoms, and they're like headache, fatigue, nauseousness. You're like, I have 3 of those. I think I have the deadly disease they just talked about. You ever find yourself doing that? I know I do.
Yeah, there's a couple times where I'll have those symptoms and I'll be like, oh my God. But then I'll calm down. I'll be like, don't panic. Just give it a day. And if it disappears, you don't have the Rona.
I'm glad you actually said that, because it's actually really true more than most. Always venture to say, I think it's a cold and or flu. But here's the question I have. If you're like the majority of men, right, we just kind of like suffer and suffer and suffer until it gets really bad. So my question is, how many people are going to think they have a cold, think they have a regular flu, and then realize all of a sudden, oh, I've been spreading not a cold and or a flu, I had coronavirus. There's a lot of questions I got to ask, but I do know this. We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages with our radio audience just around the corner. Stay tuned right there, and let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to give you shout-outs here next, here on The Morning Show. For those of you tuning in, if this is your very first time, we're happy to have you with us on today's show. We got a lot more to talk about. It's not all coronavirus. I really hate talking about coronavirus. I just feel like we're not through it, and I have to at least plug it. So I still have people. I met somebody yesterday, literally, that says, I don't need a mask. And I was like, why? Because the other people around me are wearing masks. I go, why? Because I love President Trump.
Why?
I didn't say that. But, you know, look. And that's what I've been finding a lot of, by the way. Usually I can almost tell 100% what side of the aisle you're already on based on you throwing caution to the wind. I can already tell. So I said, don't have a bias, like, against, like, being, I mean, he's admitting he didn't want to cause a panic. So obviously, you should take all the stuff that he ever gave you, which is cautionary, and do that. Don't shoot the messenger, right? And yet I get chastised. You know how many times I got chastised by the previous TV station owner, Jesse?
Too many times. Are we not allowed to make jokes at people? No.
Honestly, I think he's still watching, so I'm going to say this out loud because he put an angry face on one of my broadcasts from here. I'm like, I'm no longer on your station. Why are you still watching? Grow up. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, I'll probably get a call later.
We got 10 seconds before we're live.
How dare you say grow up? I am grown. I'm older than you. I know everything. Yeah, but you've been wrong every step of the way.
2 seconds.
All right, thanks. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience all the way on Facebook around the world. We got people from Nepal. We got people from Switzerland. We got people from areas I can't even pronounce here on the show. We'll get shout outs coming up just around the corner. But first, we got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there kicking it over there in the nice, beautiful area of the Inland Empire. Jesse, what's the air quality for today?
Good morning. It's a lot better than it was the past couple days, considering that everything was just completely gray. So I can actually see the sun today, so it's kind of clear, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, as I drove up here, I drive up early now, 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock in the morning, and I saw the crescent moon, which was really, at first, very eerie, and then it went very kind of cool, with the sun starting to come up below it. And anyway, long story short, I thought, it's funny. Sometimes we take for granted what happens at night and all the different workers that are out there at night. And I'm not going to lie. A part of me thought, it's so much calmer at night. Maybe I should take a night shift. You know what I mean? Because during the day, everybody's stressed out, frustrated, upset. I say, you know what? Go out at night, early like morning, and just start to be one with nature. So I'm starting to actually enjoy the drive up here, although my vehicle's not. I'm not sure how many times I can drive in that vehicle, but there you go. But we got lots of stories to talk about, including this one. Look, I understand in life it's never easy. And sometimes when we talk about coronavirus, we really say, not that subject again, really. But sometimes we get some information that we go, oh, I didn't know that as well. And then that gives us at least, what I was thinking yesterday, Jesse? I was thinking of all the people that held on to their March, April, and May views. Are they still holding on? What do you think?
I don't know. What do you mean their views?
Well, what I mean is this. There are a lot of people that, I remember talking to in March, April, and May, and I said, this thing's not going away anytime soon. And oh, by the way, I remember telling restaurant owners, I said, I'm surprised you guys don't have, even at shopping places, I said, I'm surprised your company doesn't provide face masks because this thing's going to get kind of odd around the corner. And they always would look at me. Some would be like, yeah, I know, I wish I did. I wish they did. But at that time, remember, we had like a shortage of face masks, of the N95s, because we wanted to keep those primarily for the frontline workers. But then, after a while, my point is this. You know how many people that said I was wrong? But I wonder at what point will they say they were wrong? Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, some people are unable to say that they're wrong.
Yeah, and I went down on records. I mean, if you ever look at any of my broadcasts back in March, you know how many people I went up against that says, it doesn't affect kids. Where'd you hear that from? A news agency. They had an expert on. I said, okay. I heard one time, San Bernardino they don't need to require face masks. I go, I don't trust that. And I said that adamantly in front of 5 people, 5 people. They were like, why? San Bernardino's allowing it. I says, do you believe everything you hear? So here's what I say. Look, put on your thinking cap. Use your thinking cap. You were given it for a reason. Don't throw caution to the wind. What's the worst case to do? Oh, by the way, Jesse, remember how you said a moment ago, I think it was early last week, you says, I think we're going to see a huge surge after Labor Day weekend? Mm-hmm. Guess what we have in the news? Another spike. In fact, a World Health Organization actually said the U.S. and one other country, I don't remember the country, actually had a huge spike. Yeah, wonder where that came from, right? So, again, Jesse, I think we've been at least 50-50 or at least 80-20. more on than off. And I'm telling you, somewhere near down the line, some people are going to say, you guys were more on the whole time. So it begs the question. My point is this. You know how many people I've had say I was wrong? And I says, well, better to be wrong than to be right? Because, I would hope to be wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. I'd say this all the time on the morning show. And where did it get me? Off the television air, the broadcasting studio that we used to be on. Why? Because the other person really loves Trump. But back to that. I don't care if you do love or you don't love. Here's what I care about. You don't put your health and or your family in harm's way. Okay? I literally have met 5 different people this week, all that love and want to vote for President Trump. To which I say, well, then are you at least keeping safe with safety protocols? Nah, it's not a really big problem. I go, do you watch the news? Nah, it's all fake anyway. Where do you think Trump is trying to talk to every single time he has a press conference? Like, he's talking to the news that are projecting, like, safety protocols and all this. And he didn't deny, did he? Did he deny that it was, like, he didn't want to cause a panic? He somewhat denied. You never know what you could get from that guy. He's got, like, 2 heads. One head goes, I love you. The other head goes, I don't love you. And it's like, which one do I hear? Both at the same time? It's like a puppet, right? Like, which puppet am I listening to of President Trump? I'm sorry. I just had to say that. I'm not allowed to say these things here. But you know what? I'm really upset. And I'm mad and I'm angry. And here's why I'm upset, mad, and angry, Jesse. Because I've been seeing so much rhetoric in the news media proclaiming he is the savior of mankind. I don't know if you've seen this stuff, but there's like, somebody drew like him on the cross as though he is Jesus. You know what? God. I take issue with that. I'm like, why would you say that when in reality, back to, I don't want to cause a panic. I believe, I hate to get all preachy right here, right now, but if you're going to be called the Savior, or if you're going to call yourself, like, I just know stuff, I use my head, and then people end up dying more often than not, well, did you think that you did the right thing to begin with, or that you did some stupidity, and now people have been listening to everything that you've ever said? Do you know how many people here at the station actually try to get me fired from this station? Jesse, I'm just going to throw it out there as another broadcast. I'm not going to throw his name out there like he threw my name out there. All because I shared some information on my social media timeline to want to help people save on some PPE devices. You know what it was called? A UV light. I posted this on my own social media. And you know who called me, Jesse?
Station manager.
More like the operations manager, because evidently one of the other broadcasters who came onto my own timeline, I never went onto his timeline, ended up calling some stuff up and it's made a lot of problems for me. And I says, you know what? Fine, I'll take it off. But hey, I'm not under contract, so what's the harm? This is on my social media. I didn't post it on your social media. Well, you use the ABC KMT logo. Okay, that's on all my social media. It's called Hello, I broadcast on KMT 1490 AM every single day. This is my own timeline, and I'm not doing anything to harm anybody, but it was called by the other broadcaster, who, again, I won't mention his name, said, in essence, Jesse, kid you not, he said, you are profiteering off of war, like war profiteering, which I'm like, that makes no sense, because this other broadcaster, and again, be careful who you listen to, some will constantly say it's a hoax, it's fake, it's all made up for Trump, blah, 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 blah. And then I hear on the flip side of that, maybe they're right. And I hear, I don't care about conspiracy theories. I don't. UFOs, who shot Kennedy, who didn't shoot Kennedy, 9/11, did it happen? Was it a government conspiracy? I don't care, because at the end of the day, at least you remain safe. What I do care about is if this calls your own family into harm's way, at what point, Jesse, do you think people will say, sorry, Aaron, I was wrong? Or just say sorry to all the people here listening that have said exactly that. You know how many people I see on Twitter that say, don't be stupid, people? And I'm like, I think some people that were stupid need to apologize right here, right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love it if people apologize if they're wrong. But you know what? That's never going to happen, because people do not like saying that they were wrong or they're following the wrong path or whatever. So
You know, it's funny you said that. There are so many people that don't want to admit they're wrong and or following the wrong path. Again, not to get preachy, but, in the Bible, which a lot of Christians supposedly have been throwing a lot of caution in the wind because they would rather support a guy who basically says, don't worry, it's fine, don't worry. Back to that. So there were two roads, by the way. One was broad and spacious, and the other cramped and narrow, leading off into life. Which are you on? Here's my theory. Here's my theory, Jesse. It's never too late to find somebody to pull you up onto the cramped and narrow road. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't think it's one size fits all. I don't think just because you're on the broad road leading off into, well, the Bible says, I'm not going to say it, but leading off into, just not being happy in life because it's wide and everybody's on it, right? Don't follow the majority sometimes. But in this case, I think it's almost the flip side, Jesse. I feel as though, and I could be wrong, but I feel as though the majority understand we're in it to win it. We're going to do the right thing. So I think in this case, in this coronavirus pandemic, it's the flip side. I think the narrow and tiny road are those that want to do a lot of bad because they trust somebody to tell them what is good or what is bad or not bad because I don't want to cause a panic. But back to the other side, I think the majority of us really do care about humanity, and the majority of you want to stay safe, and the majority of you are still wearing face masks, even though they may not be fun to wear, okay? So here's my recommendation, all right? While before the coronavirus does whatever it does, or before the cold and or the flu, and just keep yourself safe, why don't you guys all get N95s or KN95s, which are selling willy-nilly, like at Fry's. Seriously, I saw a whole row, 100% not sold out. And I looked at the rest of the people, and I made kind of some movements to make them go, oh, maybe I should pay attention to that. None of them got any. And I thought, you're wearing a regular little blue mask. Why don't you get the the N95s, by the way, you breathe better than you do a regular face cloth mask? I know, because I've tried them all, Jesse. Mm-hmm. You actually breathe better. It's like you're like, oh, this actually ventilates better and keeps the majority of the particles out. And now that we're not in a crisis, well, we're still in a crisis, but we're not in a shortage anymore because they got time to catch up. But I saw all these face masks for kids, for adults. Granted, I've also seen, and this is kind of sad, Jesse, you've seen the kind which are the face shields. Mm-hmm. Here's a problem with that. If you only wear the face shield, the face shields are as a secondary measure in the event that somebody spits or coughs or it comes into a droplet in your eye. But the reality is, if you wear no face mask underneath, you got all that open air. So it's still in the air. Do you understand what I'm saying with this?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And that happened at Target. And I saw the cashier and I was like, I wanted to warn him, but I felt like 25 different people probably had said the same thing to him. So I'm like, I'm not going to be the 28th. Or should I have? What do you think, Jesse? Should I have spoken up, or do you think people just get tired and they go, yeah, whatever?
Honestly, they don't really care. If you tell them, they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll get one. They won't.
Which is why I beg every single listener, look, I'm going to go on the record and say this, okay? Ahead of time, once again, try to prove me wrong. Time will tell. History will repeat itself, right? In the pandemic of, what was it? It doesn't matter. The original pandemic, guess what? People wore face masks, right? Now, people went to war and they came back and they brought it here to the U.S. True or not true? True. So, my question is this. If you feel you're all right, are you going to admit when you're finally wrong? Or does it take a death or a person that suddenly dies in front of you, or a family friend, and you say, oh, they got coronavirus? Oh. Is it really going to take that, Jesse, to be able to admit when you're wrong?
Most people, yeah. It'll probably take like a death or a close family member to be injured or something like that.
Regret is one of the worst things known to man. And you know when the worst regret is, Jesse?
What?
When it's your last day on earth and you have a multitude of regrets. I'm going to talk about that next here on the morning show. I almost lost my life, or I thought I was about to lose my life. I'll talk about that next here on the morning show. Stay tuned. All right, those of you tuning in, I appreciate you. Let's see who's tuning in on Periscope. Queen VLRW333, thank you. Mike Pasqua, good to see you over there. Thank you for the retweet. He always retweets us. I really appreciate you. Reaper of Darkness. I know you meant darkness, and I get it. It's okay. Jurn Ra and I'm POTUS 16. I like that, because you know what? If you're 16, you'll probably be a better president than the one we have in office. Did I just say that out loud? I did. Recently, I was told by somebody else, well, then just don't talk about Trump. And I said, okay, I'll try. But there's some stuff I see happening, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. I just can't keep quiet. I really, there's a scripture that says, even if the stones were, like, oh, that's right. If I were to keep quiet, the stones would cry out, right? I feel like I'm a stone,
Mm-hmm. So are we not allowed to make fun of people anymore?
That's, that's like, which one?
I don't know. The people that wear masks in the car.
Which one?
The people that wear masks in the car.
I'm not completely against that if you're a Lyft driver.
Well, no, if you're a Lyft driver. But
I feel bad for Lyft and Uber drivers, by the way,
Oh, yeah. They got to have those things strapped on all the time.
Yeah, because they're trying to work, they're trying to do the right thing by their family, and now they're putting themselves kind of at risk, more at risk than most. And then you got dummies that go, why do I need a face mask? You're wearing a face mask. And I'm like, you really want to go with that, right? And I highly recommend against that. Look, there's no way to eliminate it. There isn't. But you greatly reduce, and the greatly reducing of that, I mean, I would love it if you were able to speak to God and God says, hey, don't go here, don't go there, don't go here. Oh, great. But until that day happens, right, you still have to be cautious and say, okay, assume it's everywhere, and then take your chances, right?
If it was only that easy.
Well, I mean, now that I'm 100% like alone, I don't have to think about all the people. I mean, I still have to think about my mom for now, but once I'm living on my own, I don't care if I get sick well, I guess I do care if I die out of stupidity. After all, I'm the one that said it. But you know what? Like, for example, if somebody
10
else
seconds.
was, huh? Oh,
10 seconds.
Yeah, I don't want to go out that way, especially when I was like preaching and teaching. Stay safe, stay safe, stay safe.
Yeah, let's not go out that way. 2 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live audience over there on social media, all platforms. We appreciate you. Look, before our next guest, I just want to, clarify something. When I said I almost died, okay, this was an incident that happened over, I want to say, it's hard to remember, I'll be honest, because it was such a traumatic moment for me. I literally ran. Well, here's the story, okay? I was going down the 405 freeway going north, and unfortunately, this person in front of me stopped abruptly. Well, I was looking, I go, oh no. I stopped just shy of hitting her bumper. She was in front of me, okay? But I veered to the left. Now, there's the fast lane, the carpool lane on my left-hand side. I'm alone, so I didn't take the carpool lane. And I just stopped just shy of me, right? Suddenly, the person behind me rammed into me 100%. My whole front of the end car hit the middle divider. I went and hit the and I had my glasses on. It cut me, I believe, or the steering wheel cut me. I don't even remember what it was. And so I had a huge laceration. I don't forget what part it is on my nose because they had to stitch it up later. All this blood gushing, but there was a moment. Everything literally slowed down so much that I thought when I just got hit from behind, boom, boom, and I was out of it, and I thought, oh shoot, there's going to be a car. In my thinking state, I said, there's going to be another car that's going to hit me because I just went into the fast lane. I had enough time to speed up in my head, which people that tell you when they have near-death experiences, their mind speeds up so fast, time tends to slow down. It's true, look it up. And so I thought, oh great, I'm a goner. This is how I go out. Because there's going to be a car coming in the fast lane, and they're going to take me out 100%. And I'll tell you, Jesse, that was a moment of reflection, because in that very moment, I had 3 regrets. And one of them was, at the time, I says, I wish I would have told the person I truly love that I love them no matter what. The second regret was, well, that was it. That was the only one regret I had, really, because that's all the time I had. And then all of a sudden the phone rang, and I'm like, hello? And the rest is history. Now, if you talk to people that are on their deathbeds, there's a nurse that actually did that, and she categorized all their different regrets on their last day, or close to their last day. What regrets do you have in life? I'm like, that's the question. But you know what? Here's what I think. I think a lot of us go through our life willy-nilly, and then all of a sudden, a car accident happens out of the blue, or a plane crashes out of the blue. And in those final minutes, I could tell you this, anybody that's gone through that will know this, there are at least 2 to 3 quick regrets depending on how much time you have. Don't believe me? Look at 9/11. Remember, that was just around the corner, right? I saw a very unfortunate post of somebody who made a call to his, I believe, wife. I'm not sure if she was his fiancée, but she was the love of his life. And he called her on the phone and left a message saying, I hope I get to see you again, but if I don't, I just want you to know I've always loved you. In essence, I don't remember the words, but that was the characterization. To which I say this. If it were your very last day, especially coronavirus, right? You're in the ICU bed, ventilator down your throat, unable to talk, unable to move, and you suddenly go, I think this is my final moment. I'm not going to get any better. What are the regrets you're going to have? Sometimes the regrets you have are the regrets that you thought you always had time to say eventually. You always thought maybe there was that moment you'd be able to say it one day. But now, your time is up. There is no second chance. Thankfully, I got a second chance, right? Some would say, well, you're going to get a second chance anyway. But I didn't know it at the time. And in that moment, I realized not only is life worth living, you should try to do the right thing as much as possible, no matter what. And just say, you know what? If I leave this earth, I know I have no regrets. So don't have any regrets in life, okay? Get rid of all that stuff ahead of time. That way, when it is your final day, whatever day that is, you know, in that moment. But here's the thing I feel. We all are going to regret leaving somebody behind. We're going to regret not helping them live their life to the full. So don't throw caution to the wind. Be mindful. During this time that we're living in, it's not easy, but you're still alive and you still can affect change. Focus on that and you'll be more positive in life than, oh my God, woe is me, everything is going crazy right now. Take advantage of being alive and being able to reach out to somebody you love right here, right now. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages. All right, for those of you tuning in, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez. If this is your first time, this is our commercial break. This is where we kind of regroup. Jesse's working with the next guest, ready to get them on here. Big shout out to you guys tuning in. Freddie Garcia, appreciate you talking over there. We got Sandy Villanueva, thank you. Kenny Pote Jr., thank you for tuning in. Valverde tuning in. Let's see. Vanessa Marie, thank you for watching. Let's see. Gordon Hyatt, thank you. Let's see. We've got Tracy Grant Dunlop tuning in. Debbie Lazo, hey, good to see you, Debbie. And all the people over there at your neck of the woods. Anthony Rhodes, thank you. Roger Rottenhouse, thank you. Let's see. We've got more. Alejandra Vasquez, thank you for tuning in.
We got 10 seconds.
Thank you, Jesse. Our guest's ready to go, right?
Yes, ready to go.
Okay. Thank you.
2 seconds.
That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience all the way on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope TV, LinkedIn, YouTube Live, and much, much more. It's that time for our next guest. You know, 35 million Americans on average come down with the flu each year. This year's cold and flu season, of course, will be particularly challenging. It could shape up to be a serious health concern for many people. Registered dietitian Pam Nisovich Bede joins us today with some lifestyle tips to help fight off illness and support our immune health. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Pam.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for not throwing caution to the wind as so many have. Look, I understand again, and I get it. So many people have said coronavirus is pretty much like the flu, to which I say, yeah, but the flu can actually be more prevented than coronavirus right here, right now. Can you share with me some tips on what you do each and every year?
Sure. So much of our life is about being proactive and building our best self. And I'm hopeful that we're all focused on health more than ever now. And I'm here with Abbott, where we believe that good health begins with good nutrition. As a registered dietitian, I can tell you that a nutrient-dense plate is one of the very best tools we have to support our health, our hardworking immune system. And all that sounds very intimidating. It sounds complex, but it doesn't have to be. It's as easy as prioritizing protein, eating the colors of the rainbow to get important vitamins, including A, C, E, D, and zinc. And research shows that many Americans need more of these. So consider your day. Consider what's on your plate. Start with eggs, great source of protein and zinc. Then aim to get in as much colorful produce as possible. So broccoli and sweet potatoes for vitamin A, mushrooms for vitamin D. When you're craving a snack, make it purposeful. So grab citrus fruits for vitamin C, nuts for vitamin E. Together, these nutrients work really hard to support and regulate our immune system.
Well, Pam, and look, can you talk about the product of choice? Because here I am, and I think a lot of people are very much like me. Right now, you're in a coronavirus pandemic. You're trying to make ends meet. You're very busy. You're running around left, right, trying to provide for the kids if you have them, or trying to just provide for your family members, whether they be elderly and or sick. And sometimes you don't have time to make a full course meal. So why is this so important for us to be able to kind of jug it down, if you know what I mean?
Right. Well, so many of us are juggling so much. I mean, even as a registered dietitian, I find it a real challenge to fit in nutrient density all the time, especially those hectic mornings where fitting in a nutritious breakfast. Making that come to life is extremely difficult. And that's what nutrition shakes do for us. They fill in those nutrient gaps that we all have across our diet. I grab Abbott's Ensure Max Protein. It's an easy way to get 30 grams of protein for strength and energy throughout my day. It, gives me 25 essential vitamins and minerals, many of which we just chatted about for immune health. If you prefer plant-based protein, or if you're vegan or vegetarian, there's Ensure plant-based protein. And all these fit in throughout the day when you're on the go. They're great in between meals.
Well, and for those, again, that see this on the store, I'm not going to lie, okay? I often see this drink of choice, and sometimes I think, look, I'm in my mid-40s. That's all I'm going to say about that, okay? But sometimes people don't realize these drinks are actually good across the board.
They are. We have worked really hard over the years to make the taste amazing, make the nutrients so purposeful and on point. And I think many of us don't always turn to, nutrition shakes or an Ensure shake throughout our day. But when you think of all it's bringing to the table, 30 grams of protein, all those nutrients, it's a no-brainer for a lot of us.
Yeah, I like the name Ensure. I think you need to play off of that. Just say, Ensure ensures you get your meal in quick, fast, and furiously. How about that?
I love it. Perfect.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I won't charge you for that one. But, let's talk about, of course, and I've been recently having to try to, get my body back up to the way it used to be way back in the day when I was a teenager. And sometimes that's harder when you get, to the turn of life, meaning like 35, right? In men, it's different as well than women, but can you speak on both? Because our biology ends up changing over time. How did these particular vitamins especially help us when we just kind of, you're not young anymore?
You bring up a good point because as we age, and aging is, basically when we get out of college, unfortunately, we start to become less efficient at utilizing protein and repairing muscle, right?
Right.
So, vitamins and minerals are very important, but let's focus in on that protein. We need to get more of it in, again, as we age, as we become less efficient. And most of us, if we're not making those really nutrient-dense choices throughout the day, we're falling short. And that can really help with, basically feeling less sore from exercise, that whole aging progression. And another thing that can really help is better hydration. We don't always think about, sipping on fluids throughout the day or making sure we're well hydrated, but especially as you think through like immune health and the ability for immune cells to move throughout the body, get where they need to go to fight off infection, and then the symptoms that follow, like poor health, so fever, vomiting, diarrhea, those lead to dehydration. And yes, sipping on fluids throughout the day is really important, but where are you getting your electrolytes from? And it needs to be an optimal blend. So the sodium, the chloride, the potassium. My go-to is always Pedialyte because it's optimal hydration. It's a little bit of sugar, so it's like rapid rehydration.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something you want to think about when you think about, just supporting your total body wellness, hopefully getting back to your best self. Hydration is a huge component.
I'm not going to lie. I say stock up on that stuff ahead of time anyway, just in case, because it lasts for a good amount of time. I know the last time I got really sick, I was done for, but I had somebody caring for me. So, a lot of people don't have that right now because they're sheltering in place by themselves, and the last thing you want to do is go out and get something and or even go online when you're like, So I think there needs to be a lot more done to check up on our family and friends, especially during this cold and flu season. True or untrue? What do you think?
I agree. Let's make sure that our family and friends are well situated and they've got a plan in place and we have the tools we need to make sure our immune health is at the best it can be.
All right. Well, Pam, thank you so very much for spending time with us. Where can people get more information?
You can always visit us at Ensure.com, and you can always find Ensure at all major retailers and Amazon.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much for spending time with us here on The Morning Show. I hope you stay safe over there, and if you get sick, hydrate.
Thank you for having me, and stay well.
You too, as well. All right, so there you go. You see, look, you can't be mad at me for talking about flu and or cold. That's a thing, right? And you don't want to get it during this time because now you're going to wonder, which is it, right? And then you're going to be like, it was only the flu. That's so good. A lot of the symptoms I recently just looked up, and some of the preliminary include fever, cough, and I forgot the third one. I don't know. I'll find out. Let me go look it up. I got to take a break anyway. We'll be right back right after these messages with more. All right, people, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the morning show. I know it's not popular to talk about your health. I get it. I mean, it used to be popular. Now we're like, why? Right? The younger ones are like, why? I'll be fine. Even the younger ones need to take care of your health. Seriously, everybody needs to take care of your health. So I'm just going to say this. Let's make this a healthy show, okay? And I did pull up this article, by the way. These are the top 3 most common. Sometimes it may be a little different between variances, okay? But Jesse, how much does this sound like a regular a cold and or a regular flu? Here are the top 3 among all COVID-19 cases. Fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing.
Yeah, that's the Rona or the flu?
That's Corona.
Okay.
Not the beer, obviously. Although I wish it were. I could use one. So, not right now.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I see some people drinking at the very early in the morning. I'm like, okay, that is a situation we need to fix right here, right now.
I've seen people do that.
Thank God I've always been very, what's the word? Proactive on that. All right. Yeah, but here are the other ones, okay? Fatigue. Doesn't that sound like the flu, Jesse?
Yeah, that's the flu.
Muscle or body aches. Doesn't that sound like the flu?
Yep.
Headache. That sounds like a cold and a flu combined. This one, even the loss of taste or smell, you get that with the cold. So you know what I mean? Like,
Makes
sore
sense.
throat, cold, sounds like a cold. Congestion or running, I'm going to keep this for the next segment because I think our radio audience needs to hear this, by the way. This is why I say we're not out of it, people. I hope the majority of you get only a cold and or flu. But when everybody is
seconds.
going to get tested, you need to, like, government, seriously, Trump, do that. I'll vote for you. You make government testing a
10
thing,
seconds.
free, tackle it, quick, fast, and furious, done. We save the rest of humanity around the world.
2 seconds.
Because others will listen. True. That's right. It is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMT 1490 AM. Joining our live audience there on social media, all platforms. Just look for my name, Aaron Michael Sanchez. Is where it's at. Those of you that are just joining us, our last guest was talking about very simple cold and or flu, and how you need to build up your immunity to hopefully fight it. At least because you know what, we all have a pretty strong immunity, the majority of us, right? I don't know how many do not, but of course, unless you have immune compromised, well, there's diseases that compromise your immunity, right? There's quite a few. And then sometimes there's treatments, back to cancer patients, right, that have been doing chemo for quite some time. Now their immunity is compromised and minimized, which I always say to any person that is a survivor of cancer, build up your immunity as much as possible, because they often say it's not the first time that it takes it away. If you survive the first turn, it's the second time. It's because your immunity is so far down, it can't fight off anything. So be careful with that. Of course, if you have any questions, go check out all of our social media platforms, replay it, share it, or just share the information with somebody that you know and or love. Now, at the end of the last broadcast, I talked about something which I feel is coming up around the corner, not to put fear out there, but just to throw a cautionary warning label. You know how typically whenever you get something at the store, you have like a label that says caution, right? Do you ever get those, Jesse?
No.
It's probably because you don't look, but they're caution labels on everything you buy. Like, you don't ingest, right? Like, you buy soap, don't ingest. You got like pretty common warning labels, caution, right? Flammable, right? Back to hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer, caution, flammable. I don't know if that's on every bottle, but it should be, right?
Well, you would think that you wouldn't need to put it on there, but yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I mean, we heard of a story last week, which I just didn't have the heart to share, because I thought, well, does that mean everybody's going to say, fine, I'm never going to use hand sanitizer anymore, which I say, just don't use it around an open flame. Don't do that, okay? But then I feel like you throw some caution to the wind, and people are like, well, you know what? I don't know what to believe, so I'm just not going to use anything. You're like, use something, right? I mean, it's better than nothing. Back to the regular cold and or flu, okay? Jesse, you know how many times I was told this in March, April, May, June, and July? It's just like the common flu. You know how many times I heard that, Jesse?
Way too many times. If I had a dime for everything, I'm pretty sure I'd have a couple grand.
Yeah, which I always say, well, then you know what? Do you want to get the cold and or flu if you have a compromised immune system? To which one person said, the flu kills more people every year. We've surpassed that number, by the way, in a short amount of time, by the way. Back to government. Government, instead of doing the right thing, don't want to spread fear, let's spread joy, love, and peace by letting people go back to the way it was. Remember Easter? Everybody's supposed to support the whole idea of Easter, right? Whether you believe in just the bunny, whether you believe in the eggs that bunnies don't lay, but it's a thing. And I get it, it's fun. But a lot of people say they remember Jesus, right? Some take a solemn oath. Some say, I'm going to put off this, that, or the other. Palm Sunday is a thing. Ash Wednesday is a thing, right? And yet, here's what I'm seeing, left, right, and center. You profess faith, but you make it invalid by your actions. Agree to disagree, but here we are, still with coronavirus, still places closing, still everything. And I know some people, I heard it just the other day, well, Governor Newsom, he's the reason that we're all doing really bad. No, he's trying to keep people safe. Back to face masks. It got sent around the masses. Oh, he's just profiting off it. Pfft, yeah, there's money to be made. Do you know how much the markup is on these masks? True, sometimes it's pretty big based on who sells it, how much they sell it for, and whatnot. I recently got a quote for about, I think if I spent $1,000, I can get $1,500. If I spent $1,500, I can get 1,000 face masks. That's about $1.50 each, right, Jesse?
That's not actually not too bad.
And technically, at $1.50 each, if I sold them for $25. Remember people that were selling that for $25? They weren't even the real thing. But, I'll donate to charity. I say, well, at the time I said, okay. But when I found out that's how inexpensive they could be, and that's just with $1,500 worth throwing that in. I wonder how far the markdown goes when you have $1 million and you just say, hey, you know what? Get an N95 as long as they're available. The frontline workers have it. Now everybody else has it. Or a KN95. A KN95, by the way, is equivalent. I had to do the research. The first time I saw a KN95, I thought it was a knockoff, Jesse. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was they're just trying to profit off of people. And I was one of the very first until I did the research. And I went online and I said, what is the difference between a KN95 and an N95? They're the same thing, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the Chinese or Asian equivalent of what an N95 is. I don't know what the K stands for. I forgot about that. But it's the same exact thing. So if you get your hands on a KN95 and it's marked properly KN95, because I understand as of late there's been knockoffs of those as well. So check the box, check the sealant, make sure they're good to go. And then invest in a UV light. You know how many different UV lights? Remember when we talked about the cell phone UV light that could desanitize cell phones, Jesse?
Yes, I remember.
Okay, so back to my message that I said earlier. The other radio broadcaster tried to get me on trouble saying I was war profiteering. Do you know how much I was selling a big bag for, by the way?
How much?
Through my contact that I had. Well, technically, I still haven't, but I haven't thrown it out there because I'm afraid of losing the morning show. But the reality is this. I was selling it for $80. Do you know how much the cell phone charger, which only does your cell phone and not your glasses, you could even put fabric in there. You can put, what else can you put? You could put your face mask in there. And within 3 minutes, the UV kills, I don't know how many, they say 99.9999%, but it's a lot better than 0%, right? So my point is this, Jesse. If you invest in one of those, oh, by the way, the one that does the cell phone, $75 plus tax at Fry's. And it only does your phone, Jesse. But it was this case, it was a really big case, and I had to take it off my social media because I was like, well, I don't want to lose the morning show over this. To which I say, you know what? Maybe I'll put it back, and if you guys want it, maybe you can get it. But I don't know. I don't want to lose the morning show over trying to say to people, hey, these face masks are expensive. You know, I actually took one of the face masks off the counter and asked the lady how much they were, and I was like, are they what? I could get them for $4 a piece. That's some crazy numbers. To which I say, I get it. Supply and demand, supply and demand, supply and demand. I get it. But Governor Newsom was not providing them for the public. He was buying them in bulk for the frontline workers. But people forgot to look at that information. They just want to say Governor Newsom is just, recall Governor Newsom. How dare he close down shops? How dare he? How dare he? How dare he? We're still here with coronavirus, people. Now, do I think that Governor Newsom and all the other governors of the United States of America can do some safe implementing a protocol? Meaning, if the top, let me go to this really quick, and then I'll circle back around. And again, I'm guaranteeing you at some point it's going to come up in the future. Here's the top 3 common, very common, of all coronavirus cases to which people thought they just had a cold and or the flu. Here's the top 3. You ready for them? Fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing. To me, honestly, if I got that, I'd be like, oh, I have a cold. I don't know about you, Jesse. What do you think you would have had without getting tested?
Knowing me, I'll probably, they'll be like, if I sneeze or have a cough, I'll be like, oh my God, I have the Rona.
But I mean, look, it's no laughing matter, but you know, it's kind of funny for, you know, a minute. But my point is this. A lot of people are going to think they just have a fever and they go, oh, I have a flu. Or they're going to do the flip side. They're going to be like, oh my God, I have corona. Like you just said, I might have corona. And now you got an influx of people just waiting to get tested. But you know, the testing costs money unless you have good health insurance. And even then, you got to get the right one, not the antibody test, the actual test that actually determines if you have it. Some are as little as 20 minutes, some are take several days, whichever one you get a hand on. So I think within the next 3 months, we're going to get such an influx of just people that just have a regular cold and or flu. But here's my question. My question is this. What if you get a cold and or flu and then get coronavirus?
Ooh.
What if it's a 2-punch? No, that doesn't happen in the body. Wait, does it? Yeah. It's not like it says, close the doors, I only got the flu. Close the doors, I only got the cold. Don't throw caution to the wind, people. Here's the other symptoms. Fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea. That sounds like the stomach flu, Jesse.
It actually does.
Now, here are the really, if you have these, you need to just go, okay? Trouble breathing. It may just be pneumonia. I get it, but even that could be debilitating if it's not handled right away. Persistent pain or pressure in the chest. New confusion. This is why I have a problem with people that are living alone. If you can, don't live alone, or at least let people know how you're doing. I don't know how we're going to deal with that. Inability to wake or stay awake. Again, back to being alone. You see where I'm going with this, Jesse?
Yes.
Blush, lips, or face. You have any one of those 5 symptoms, and there's still more coming out. Do the right thing and just take yourself to the hospital if you're alone. And if you are not alone, I admit that you probably should still take yourself. And do you see where I'm going with this? But people should at least wear face masks around you. Put on the gloves, put on everything. Okay, hopefully you don't have it. Hopefully it comes back. And then you have to self-isolate away from the rest of the family. It's getting just ridiculous. But with the cold and flu virus being also populating. What's the harm in implementing some PPE protocols? And here's a couple that I recommend. Number one, if fever is one of the top three that is the most seen at the very beginning, and or all through, I don't know which it is, put up cameras, make them super affordable. All the manufacturers that have been like doing really good with the ventilators, I think you guys did a really good job. Whoever's making the infrared cameras, let's make them a little cheaper for the majority of people. Let's do the right thing and then put them in each and every business so that before you enter a business, whatever business it is, whatever restaurant it is, whatever place of business it is, it might be your business, you can afford to put this on the outside of your... You know how many people have cameras now, Jesse? How many people have cameras?
On their house, car, they have cameras are everywhere.
So make them as affordable as those. Do the right thing. Connect it to your software or your device. Let it alert you. That person has a fever. It may be a cold. It may be a flu. They should go home and get rest anyway. They shouldn't want to spread that anyway. And then you do the right thing. Okay, people, I'm running out of time. It's been a great one. Follow me on social media. I'm going to be speaking a little bit more right here on The Morning Show. Follow me, Aaron Michael Sanchez, all social media platforms. Goodbye, everybody. All right, for those of you tuning in, I appreciate you. Yes, I got a question in social media. Maria says, oh my God, you have to pay? Really? Yeah, it's a thing if you don't have certain health, and even certain health insurances don't really cover it, by the way. Some of the volunteer ones, you have to like qualify, and there's a whole, not coronavirus, by the way, it's just dryness, because all the smoking, back to smoking inhalation, right? Those of you that smoke, quit, okay? Those of you that vape, quit. Those of you that, are inhaling the smoke from California pretty much and Oregon and wherever else the fires are popping up. I saw a report today that said a lot of them are arson, by the way. I was like, doesn't surprise me. It just seems weird that they all of a sudden all popped up. That just doesn't make sense to me. But, government conspiracy and or perpetrators or just people that want to cause harm on this earth. It's neither here nor there. But here's the reality, okay, people? So back to my statement and why I'm so adamant about this, okay? In life, I see a lot of people that profess faith. They profess to have a measure of faith, or they do things right all the time, okay? And you know these people in your life. Shoot, you might be one of them, right? I'm not going to lie, I used to be one for a long time where I thought I had faith, I thought I had a measure of faith, I thought I was really good, and then I did a lot of bad in life, and I said, oh. And then honestly, I said, well, I don't have the right to tell anybody else what to do because I'm pretty sinful myself. I've been making so many mistakes through the beginning of time. I don't know which way is right sometimes, seriously. I know the majority of what's right, and I go, when I do wrong, why did I do wrong? Oh, man, and I slap my hand, slap myself. Lead my body as a slave 30% of the time. I'm just being real. About 70% of the time, what for, right? We throw our hands up going, what for? What for? What for? Gonna die eventually. What for? Everybody's sad, mad, and angry. I've encountered 25 people in my own inner circle that are sad, mad, and angry. I no longer speak to. What for? I used to say. I'm not going to lie. I still say that sometimes. But as of most recent, I thought of this and I thought, you know what? Sometimes we forget. Those of you that believe in a Christian faith, okay? I'm talking to you. The Jews in the room, you can exit because I know you're already tuned out at this point. You're like, that Jesus guy. Okay, whatever. But the rest of you, right? The rest of you. I think he didn't know everything he signed up for. I really don't. I think when he was young, he was like inquisitive, right? I don't know if you remember the passage, but it says, did you not know I was going to be in my father's house? Don't know if you remember the story, but he got left behind. His family walked ahead, and nobody knows this, some people forget, he had brothers and sisters, right? Some would say half brothers, half sisters, whatever. He had brothers and sisters. So the family was taking care of the brothers and sisters, and of course, him being the oldest, right, firstborn, obviously very responsible. They thought, oh yeah, he's obviously with the pack. We're good, he's good. It wasn't until I think it was 3 days later that all of a sudden they go, have you seen Yeshua? Where's Yeshua at? Yeshua. Hey, have you guys seen Yeshua? Yeshua. Anybody? You know, really bright kid. He's like so bright, but you know, he's super, remember, he's real respectful. He's really kind. He's loving to all his brothers and sisters. They all said they haven't seen him. Have you seen him? No? Okay. Mary, panic. Ah! Right? Retrace your steps. You lose your wallet, you retrace all your steps. But you lost your kid. Oh my God, the oldest one. He's so responsible. Why is he not here? Ah! Right? She panicked. Panic. Had to retrace her steps. 3 days journey back to the synagogue where they were worshiping God because it was a customary thing to do. You move the whole family, go worship at the synagogue for a certain amount of days. I think it was 8 days in total. Don't believe me? Look it up. And then they'd leave eventually, right? It's a long time out of your busy day and or schedule, and those days were easy. They didn't have vehicles. I mean, you know, you were lucky if you had a mule, right? And or horse or donkey or whatever you want to call it. But here's Mary. She finally, probably couldn't even breathe, right? Running the whole time. Jesus casually said, didn't you know I would be in the house of my Father? I can't even be mad at you. I can't be mad at you. I can't. You were begotten. I was told you'd be here. I didn't know everything, but and remember it said she'd always keep in her heart his sayings. So she never spoke of them. She never uttered a word to anyone at the time. Remember? They had to leave because Herod wanted to kill him as a firstborn, because evidently his birth was being talked about among people around the world. For it had been prophesied that he would come onto this earth at a certain time, and these astrologers or wise men were able to tell Herod, when he was a very young boy, that he basically was told, yeah, there's a prophet coming. He's the Messiah, or he's one, I don't know, but he's very important. He's a king among kings, Lord of lords. And he's coming to this earth. There's been signs that we've been looking at, and yep, everything's aligning. Herod said, go. I want to meet this king. So they went. Remember the wise men? People forget about this part. They got sent out to find this newborn. Remember the star directed them where to go? The Star of Bethlehem, they call it, right? But here's what people forget. The moment he sent them away, hey, get over here. They're gone. Good. Let's kill everybody under 2 and under, okay? Anybody that looks like 2 or under, kill them. Just kill them. Get rid of them, okay? Let's put that into play, all right? Herod, the king at the time, was so upset that he heard this King of Kings, Lord of Lords, was here on this earth all of a sudden, miraculously, or was he told miraculously? I don't know. At that time, I don't know. The details are fuzzy in the scriptures. But here's the reality. He wanted to kill every single baby, believe me, look it up, under the age of 2. How many children had to die in order for Jesus to live? I don't know if his mom ever told him that later on. Like, you know what, don't think you're so that great. I mean, a lot of kids had to die to make it available that you to live. Or did he already know this? I don't know. But at the age of 12, he was found there, had more knowledge, more wisdom than even the Pharisees of the time, which was the Jewish sect of the Jewish religion, okay? There were many. Jewish Pharisees, scribes, right? It's complicated. Sadducees. Don't be a Sadducee, you see? Because they got sad in the end. True. Very, very non-humble, by the way. Ugh. But back to the son, right? Her son. Her son is here in this temple saying, how did you not know I would be here in the house of my father? know what she said at that point, but that one is like, he kind of one-upped you, you know? I mean, you were like, oh, we were blind, we served, how did you not do that? You know, typical mom stuff. Mama Bear comes out, right, Mama? Like, and then the kid's there, how could you not do me with us? Oh, my God. And it was 3 days that he had been there. Well, who put him up? The Pharisees, right? Or the scribes or Sadducees? I don't know. But they were just astounded at his way of teaching. This kid, at the age of 12, knows so much. Or did he know so much, or did he ask in such a way that he had keen understanding? Or was he teaching them at the same time? You know, in some of the scriptures, it actually talks about in the Greek language, they were astounded at his way of teaching. So he must have remembered some stuff, or just so fast, so genius level, right? Because he read the word up until that time. Back to you Jews that don't believe. He was technically a Jew. Even when he got murdered, he was a Jew as a Jew, period, end of story. He didn't call himself Christian. There's no scripture that says that. He just called himself Yeshua, right? Wrong? Agree, disagree? Whatever. My point is this. He was born a Jew. He died a Jew. Or did he just was born a man, died a man? But learn to what? Read the Hebrew scriptures for quite some time. His mom obviously instructed him from very young to want to read these scriptures. You're a miraculous birth. You don't believe me? Ask my husband. Whether you believe or not, whether he was a miraculous birth or, you know, they actually just never shared it or they took that, I don't really care. My point is this, the story, okay? The story, which many people will die for. They don't just profess faith, they will die for their faith. There are many people around the world through a lot, all the way back to when he died. There are people that would go into the pit of, even before him technically, you got Daniel, went into the pit of the lions, right? But after him, there were so many that professed faith in this Yeshua that they said, well, I guess this is how we go out. Many kings were like, oh, you're still going to profess faith in that guy? Forget it then. You know what? Put them into the entertainment center. You know, other people applauded. Yeah, as lions ripped away the shreds of each and every woman, man that professed faith in this one man. I don't know about you, but what other faith is there that you would give up your own life But rewind. Rewind a little, just a week before he had to end his life. Here's how I think the conversation went. Agree to disagree. Here we go. I think God had a moment with him, as he often did, right? Remember when he went into the wilderness, fasted? How long did he? 40? Yeah, 40. Whew. You ever try to fast that long? Obviously, God spoke to him, right? People, when he got baptized, people heard a thunder, but some heard God's voice, it says in the Bible. This is my son, the beloved. Now, I think when Jesus was baptized, he was like, well, I did the wilderness thing, saw Satan the devil in the flesh, and passed that big test. Seriously, I was at my weakest state. Whew, thank goodness, the evildoer, right? The evildoer. It calls the evil one, the evil. That's really evil, by the way. Approached him when he was at his weakest, right? When he was ready to just give up. Or was he ready to give up? Who knows? I think on that 38th day, I need some food. 2 more days left. Okay. I don't know when, but I don't think he approached him at the beginning part. I think he approached him at the very end part. Why? Because there was a scripture that says in the Bible, just make these stones into loaves of bread. What did Jesus say? Get behind me, Satan. It's written. You must not put God to the test. No, he actually said this. Man must live not on every bread or stone, but on every utterance of God. So, obviously, the utterance of God, he heard God 100%. So let's fast forward, okay? I think people think that he always knew he'd die. I don't think he always knew he'd die. I think he found out towards the latter part of his life. Agree or disagree, but I think this is how the conversation went. God said, hey, we got to talk. We have to talk. What do we have to talk about? There's some stuff coming up that you need to be aware of. Okay? It's not all good. It's not all good? What do you mean it's not all good? I don't know how to tell you this. Which do you want? The good news or the bad news? Give me the good news? Sure you don't want to hear the bad news first? Because the good news is actually much better than the bad news. It'll help you on the end. You know what? Let me help you out. I'm going to tell you the bad news, then I'll tell you all the good news, okay? But it's littered with a lot of bad news still. It just depends on what portion of the journey that you focus on that will help you get through this time, okay? Okay. Here's the bad news. You're going to have to die. Okay, we all die. I resurrected Lazarus. Do I get resurrected? Yeah, but here's the deal. It's complicated, okay? You don't have a regular death. Lazarus, he fell asleep in death. Remember how you told your disciples that, and they were kind of confused. You said fell asleep in death. They're like, well, obviously he'll get well. And then you kind of said some other stuff. You weren't sure what you were saying, but you listened to me in your head, and so you utter every word that I say. That's why you said also, every utterance I ever speak comes from God, not that of myself. I do my God's will, not my own will. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that. You know I love you, right? Yes. I'm not happy about the situation. I'm really not. Okay? You're going to be tortured until death. Tortured? Tortured. Oh. Okay. What's the good news? Well, let's stick with the bad news really quick. It gets worse, okay? You got a lot of stuff to do, all right? A lot of stuff. Like this last week is the finale of your life. But here's the thing. I'll litter it with some good news, okay? Here's the good news. The good news is this. There'll be so many people that will eventually believe in you. They'll preach it all around the world. And people don't even know what around the world means. I mean, the world's bigger than even you knew. How big is it? It's huge. It's phenomenal. Because by that time, you know how right now we only have approximately 4,567,836 people living on the earth? Yeah. Fast forward, there's going to be a lot more people down the line. You don't even know the number. It's like a number people don't even calculate right now. It's in the billions. More like trillions, because there's so many people that die and come and go. And remember that last day that you prophesied? The last days, in the last days. People go from bad to worse, from bad to worse to bad to worse, and critical times, hard to deal with, will be here. All that stuff? Yeah. There's a lot more coming, but there's a lot of years till we get there. So many years. So many people at the end of the very last day are going to be like, is this the day? Not really, because we've had so many wars, pestilences, food shortages, and all the like. Basically, nobody's going to profess faith at the end of the last days. They'll kind of have a measure of faith, but remember that little passage that you kind of actually repeated, which was, they will have a form of godly devotion, but prove false to its power. That basically means that they profess faith in you. Remember the other scripture? Well, scriptures haven't been written yet. But when they get written, they all get written about your life, and all the really good stuff gets put down in there for people for generations to come. Generations and generations and generations, like a lot of generations. There's so many people out there that you haven't even met, that aren't even born on this earth, and they will be born, but you save not just the future generation, you save all the past generation as well, all the way to the very first born, literally. Okay. About half of these people aren't even going to believe in you. What's new? I see that here and now. But it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. There are people that go to war in your name. And your name gets completely downplayed. People don't even know what it means. What do I get called? It doesn't matter. It's done in every different translation. It's equivalent to Yeshua, but it's a little dumbed down. And then people name their kids after you, and, it is what it is. But whatever. Okay, so look, long story short, okay? By the end of this week, you're not going to be happy. But each and every day that you lead up into that, you're going to go from here to here by the end of the week. You're going to start off really good, but you're going to you're going to get so depressed. So I'm going to send a couple messengers called Transfiguration. Trust me, you'll figure it out eventually. That will help advise you in the very last hours, and they will come to you eventually. But you just need to live each day with purpose. But you've done that each and every day. Well, hold on, God. I mean, look, Father, Abba, are you to tell me, I thought we agreed on this. I thought at some point, this is why all those kids died, right? I was proclaimed to be a King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's not my time here and now. If I die, how am I going to be a King of Kings and Lord of Lords? Glad you asked. That doesn't happen for quite some time. So we're going to put it in there in the book that's written about your life that you basically wait until the very end of time. And then you have a right to rule in heaven. I place basically a stool underneath your feet. You await the time, and then you're good to go. Okay? All right, whatever you will, Father. But there's more. There's more. Yeah. One of the 12 that we selected has a really bad heart. Well, who is it? I can't tell you. Not yet. You know how I speak to you in your head all the time? And eventually you figure it out at the very end? And you utter my words as we go? Yes. Well, it's going to be complicated, but he's one that you really... But you're going to say, when you see it, you're going to say, well, that makes sense. And then you're going to say, So you can't tell me the name? We kind of know how it's going to play out, but that's complicated. I can't tell you that. Then people think everything's predestined. It's not. It's based on choice and free will. But we're pretty sure we know who it is. Almost 100% certainty. We're hoping he doesn't, but it's complicated, okay? You know that passage that talked about in Isaiah about being betrayal for 30 pieces of silver? That's about to come true. Okay. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. It's not the way I wanted to tell you. If I would have told you at the very beginning, you probably would have said, I'll pass. Right? No, I came to do your will, and, what's the good news? The good news? Oh. Honestly? Well, it's complicated. What do you mean it's complicated? It's complicated. So it's not simple. It's not simple to anybody. Okay. A lot of people will profess faith in you. That's a given, okay? The way you go out, it's talked about for eons of time. And those that really appreciate you, they not only love you, they go, I don't think I could have done that. Like, seriously. If I had to die for everybody else except for myself, I would not even want to go through this terrible ordeal. And it's going to become terrible. That's all I'm prepared to say, because if you know it when it happens, well, then you're just going to know I'm always with you, okay? I'm always with you. I'll give you the needed strength to keep pushing on, to keep enduring. But at the very end of it, you're going to shout something out loud, and you'll understand when you say it, because I have to withdraw so that you feel 100% of the pain. You're not going to like that end of the pain part. It's going to really, really, really hurt. But I'll be up with you until you say it, okay? But I have to withdraw from you in order for you to die as a man, not as a anointed one. It's complicated, but people will profess faith for years to come. I hope. We, the heavenly kingdom, want everybody on this earth to want to do the right thing. You know what we put into the hemisphere of people to want to do? Be like you. You're so kind, you're so humble, you're so loving. You're so faithful. You do everything I've ever asked, up until your last breath. But somehow, people will forget this. They'll profess faith in you, but then they're exactly the opposite. They think their stuff doesn't matter. In other words, they're like, I'm all good, you're all bad. I'm all good, you're all bad. I'm all good, you're all bad. So you're going to have to say some stuff, even to your own disciples, the night before your death. You're going to have to say this. You're going to have to say, there are 2 commandments that the whole law hangs itself upon. 1, love your God with your whole heart, whole mind, whole body. And 2, love your neighbor as yourself. We're going to have to simplify it, because as time goes on, all these laws and restrictions, you know the ones I did with Moses, that 10 commandments, over half of those get completely ignored in the last century. 100%. So we got to make it really simple, okay? Okay. But there's more. Okay. A lot of people are going to die still, all throughout the very end. But at the very end, that's when you rule. You're King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the way you take them out, they don't even see coming. 100%. They don't know. All right. Well, that sounds good. And you're leading all of the heavenly bodies 100%. I give you the command, now's the time. That's why I didn't tell you when the time's coming. You're not allowed to know, because nobody's allowed to know. If they knew, then they would until then they know the time, and the time is just not for them to know. You understand? Okay, I get that. But there's more, okay? Okay. You know the whole casting of demons that you used to do? Yeah. People forget about that stuff. A few remember, but the majority don't remember. So they just think they're acting all weird for some weird purpose. They don't even realize those things are still around. In fact, they kind of forget. They may talk about it, they may talk about it in Scripture, but for some reason, they just forget. Those are still around. Although you cast out demons, although you test... Yeah, we know. This isn't a test, Jesus. It's not a test for you. It's never been a test for you. It's a test in those that say they believe in you in the end. Well, okay. What am I to do? I came here to save humanity. I didn't know it was me sacrificing my own life, but okay. Boy, this is the part we didn't want to tell you ahead of time. In life, you're not just going to suffer. You're going to feel the most excruciating pain ever. But it's not the physical pain that hurts you. It's the regret knowing somebody is going to deny you. What do you mean they're going to deny me? It's complicated. There's one of your disciples, and you know who he is. He always wants to do what's right. He's always the first one on the water. Remember that? I'm going to just give you the hint. It's Peter, okay? Peter is the first one on the water. Nobody else did that. He is the one, right? So focus on that. Focus on that, okay? He wants to do what's right 100%. And he says, God, I'll do this too. But remember when he started slipping? It's important because nobody's going to do that ever again. It's just you. It goes on. People go, can anybody else walk on water? No. Was it a trick? No, 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 no. And you know how you calm the storms, you can calm the winds just by uttering? Nobody does that because A, they think it's a fake or a hallucinogen, but whatever. That's the thing that you don't know about just yet. But long story short, Peter denies you not once, not twice, but 3 times. At least he doesn't deny you 4 times. That's kind of important. What do you mean denies me? It's complicated, but he's basically you'll forgive him because you'll understand his heart. Although he wants to do what's right, he gets scared to profess faith in you because, well, let me put it this way. When you give up your life quite willingly and don't rebuke all those that, you're held without a trial, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You're held without a trial. They do it under the cover of darkness. They take you to a governor, and the governor pretty much washes his hands clean because you do talk to him. He has a good heart, and he wants to do what's right. But he washes his hands clean because it's not up to him. It's up to the Jews to have to want to decide what they're going to do with you, okay? But you know all the ones that have been mad at you secretly in their heart, trying to cause division, and, well, they think you're causing division among them. They don't think you're a true Jew. They think you just want to cause harm and that you just want to rule and take over. They don't know that doesn't even happen until the very end of days. Okay. So it gets worse, okay? It gets really worse, by the way. But all you need to know is this. Peter, you will love when you come back. And that's the good news. You have to hold on to that. You do come back to this earth within 3 days. You know that scripture talks about the temple would be destroyed, but on the 3rd day it would be rebuilt. That's actually a prophetic prophecy, which, people understand later, but they didn't understand at the beginning. You understand? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get those. Okay. Makes sense. All right. So you're going to have to just be okay with doing the right thing. Just know if I ask it of you, you will do it, right? Do I have a choice in the matter? Not really. That's why he came to this earth. All right. Well, that was quick. You agreed to that really quick. We didn't even think, we thought you'd need time on that one, but okay. You're doing pretty good right here, right now. So here's the reality, okay? Not only are you going to have to die, you'll be raised again, but then when you get raised again, people don't even know it's you. What do you mean by that? You have to take a different body. You have the physical body, then you have a spirit body, and the spirit body looks different than the physical body. Anyway, you'll be able to materialize on earth. Remember when the angels did that way back when, before I destroyed the flood? Yeah, I said I would never do that again. And I won't. But, the flood, so, the angels came from heaven, they went down to earth, and then they materialized as you. And then I took away that. I said, well, you shouldn't be given that blessing again, because look at all the harm that you caused my mountain, which basically... So that got complicated, right? Well, anyway, back to you, Yeshua. Yeshua. You know I love you, right? Yes. I feel your presence always with me. Okay. In the last 3 minutes of your death, I have to remove myself. I mentioned that, right? Yes. Okay. But here's the part that really hurts you. Your mother. What about my mom? Your mother's going to be very depressed. She's going to be sad. She's somewhat angry, to be honest. I never told her this part. She's going to be alone. That's all I can tell you. For now. Okay. I don't know what to say to this. This is a little overwhelming. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm leaving some parts out. But here's what you need to know, okay? I'm with you all the way until the last 3 minutes. And then the last 3 minutes, you say a word. People go, what does that mean? I withdraw from you, let you die as a human, but I'm with you the whole time, okay? That's why you're going to say some stuff this week. Very important, okay? It helps people understand why they need to kind of pick up their... It's complicated. People think it's a cross. Some people think it's a stake. It's the way you die, okay? Many people call it a crucifixion, but it's more painful than the way it sounds. Okay, I'm going to fast forward. You're going to get nailed to a tree. You mean like they do with the other prisoners or... That's the one. That. You're going to die in the middle of a robber and a very bad man. But one of them really wants to be good. He just got handed the wrong things in life. And you're going to say to him, you're going to say these words. When you meet him, you'll say, oh, you're the guy. In essence, you know how we always do that? We plan, and then you're like, that's the one. We're basically going to say, well, you're going to say, but he's going to hear us, right? The heavenly realm, speak to him. You'll be with me this day in paradise. Okay? Because here's what you didn't know. When you die, you especially, twinkling of an eye. That's what it'll be written eventually. In the twinkling of an eye, like that. How quick is that? It's like a nanosecond. It's a nanosecond of a nanosecond. You don't even know what a nanosecond is, but you'll find out what a nanosecond is. It's increments of time that people will figure out. It's like, okay, and now, like that. Like that's how quick it is. So the moment, that last 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're awake. It's like that quick. It's not even hard. It's not even difficult, really. You have a lot of work to do in the spirit realm, by the way, but you come back to the earth in 3 months' time. Did I say months? Well, in heaven it's different. You have a lot of time up there and then kind of do what you got to do in the spirit realm, and then by the time you get back here, you're like, oh, it's only 3 days. You understand? That's equivalency of other side to this side time. It's different, okay? We have a lot of time for a little time here, okay? That's all you need to know. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so you good so far? No, I'm not good. This is really frustrating, and but I got to do what you say, so I'll do this no matter what. I think, you know what? That's what I love about you, son. You're always willing to help mankind, even if mankind does a lot of bad. Here's the reality. Those that profess faith in you, there's a lot of different ways they're going to die. Not from natural causes. You know how you were able to cure all kinds of people, take away every sickness and or infirmity, cause them to walk again, cause them to talk again. The deaf became, their eyes opened. All those people are going to be the ones that are going to be like, I profess in him 100%. But Nero, woo boy, Nero, he just does so much bad. He basically makes it a parade, exploitation of anybody who professes faith in you, my son, and obviously me. They're going to die a horrible death as well. 2. But their names get forgotten. So more people have to profess faith in me. They have to die as well. Why is that? That's so not right. Shouldn't we intercede on their behalf? Just bring the end of days right before that? They shouldn't have to suffer. It's complicated. It's complicated. There's a time difference here. There's so much you don't know. And I'd explain it to you, you wouldn't even understand. You just don't. So what you're telling me is I'm going to die, yes. Those that profess faith in me, they're going to be made to suffer and eventually die, yes. I'm confused. Why are you confused? We say, if you profess faith, you'll have everlasting life. Yeah, that's true. But their faith leads them into death. Again, true. Then I'm confused. Well, here's the thing, okay? When you get here, you'll understand. You'll understand how it all works on this side, okay? I wasn't ready to give you all the information on this side because your brain isn't quite capable of thinking all the things that the people in the later century are able to kind of conclude, because they're going to get what's called moving pictures. And moving pictures are stories, and a lot of these stories are going to be infiltrated with good information, some of it bad by the evil one. But you know what? They'll have to figure that out for themselves. But all you need to know is the heavenly bodies are a real place, and we all live there. But you, when you die, live there as well. And so a lot of people that profess faith are going to end up right here, square one. Boop. And you'll be like, oh, that's really good. Hey, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Oh, man, I remember you. And then there's a bunch of people you don't remember, but they all know you, because you're pretty much the king of kings, soon to be, eventually. And you get to have a lot of vacation time in between. I mean, you still work a lot, obviously. I mean, you take some time off and whatever for good behavior. But, you still got to work behind the scenes, leveling everybody up. You got to level everybody up to be able to come into an understanding. You're going to start with the first one that dies right after you, because technically, before you, the scriptures say, there was no man that ever ascended into heaven unless it was Jesus first. That you kind of opened the gateways for all of humanity to eventually go. And then all those that were asleep in death, kind of like your friend Lazarus, they just go poof, so there's no need for them. You understand? It's complicated. And then there'll be different religions of different, how there's Pharisees, scribes, and Sadducees? There's different people that they call themselves, but they still call them pretty much that they believe in God, but they call it's different, because in each different one, some believe more in the Pentateuch, but others think more in the other stuff. So, and some made up their own rules, seriously, about the Sabbath. We all know how that was difficult to have to teach them. And then those people that you overturn their tables, there's a bunch of those that just want to profit off of our house. So I give up my life. You say it's very painful. It's so painful, you have to be with me until the very last 3 minutes. So I'm going to feel the full measure of the pain. Yeah. And in the end, some will believe. But some will take it differently, in different ways. I mean, how clear are we? Pretty clear. There's a lot of human thought that gets put in there. Some will say, I believe this. Others will say, I believe that. I will say this. I will say that. So throughout life, you're going to be busy trying to fix all of what they're fixing or putting in that shouldn't belong there. You mean in the other realm? Yeah. Behind the scenes. But in the very last days, very few people believe in us anymore. You know how difficult it is to tell them an angel is there with them? So difficult. They just think it's a fantasy. They think it's just whatever. You know how today they're like, oh, we were entertained angels because, that thing is kind of done away with. A lot of people just don't want to profess faith in that. It's 100% just made up is what they think. True. Okay. I don't get where we're going with that. It's simple. Here's the reality. Life is going to be much more difficult on the last day, which makes it so much more difficult for them to believe, because it takes so long from this day, approximately 5 days actually, and it gets kind of difficult for people in the end. And not only do they not love me, the majority say they don't even care, because I let the evil one run amok for so long. But it has to happen this way. It doesn't make sense to anybody until they understand in the end. And then they go, oh, well, no wonder. Kind of like you. on the last day, you'll be like, oh, no wonder you said it was painful. I'm just saying, it's going to be painful. And more of the heart. Your disciples leave you. They what? They're always with me. It's hard enough to get away from them. They always want to come, and then they don't let me have quiet time with you. I know. But they're afraid for their own lives. But you just said other ones would profess faith in me, and they would be willing to die for me as well. So I don't understand. It's complicated. They get scared. Yeshua? They have a measure of faith. But you know when their measure of faith goes from here to here? When you die, and the manner that you die, and then you come back and you appear to them in a different body. Oh. Got it. Well, okay then. Well, can I make one request? You can, but I probably can't accommodate you. But what's the request? Can you just take care of each and every one of them? You don't want to ask that of me. Why not? The one that betrays you, I can't take care of him. He listened to the evil one. That one's been running amok in him for quite some time. And can I just say one thing? Sure. It's just too much for me. I don't. All right, well, let's do it. There's more. There's more. There's a whole lot more. But you'll understand in the minute that you do it, and then you'll understand why you say it, and then you'll just understand. So I can't tell you everything, but I just got to ask, are you in it to win it? 100%. Not half-heartedly, 100%. You're in it to win it. You know I am, Father. This is why I came to this earth. This is why you teach me. This is why you uncover the things so that I understand more than the average man. I mean, there's some things you say I don't understand, but I say, okay, eventually I'll understand eventually. But okay. That's all right. You know the second coming we talked about? Yeah. That's why you come around the second time. Okay. But we keep it very ambiguous. We just say you come in a cloud. It gets complicated after that because people put in their own thoughts and their own theories and their own prophesied and their own measure of faith, but they don't know because they're not here. They don't know our plan. They only know the plan that's written down in the Bible. They don't know everything, but they try to pretend they know everything. But here's the reality. When you come the second time, the majority of people don't even know. In fact, that's why you come in the middle of the night. And you do so under the cover of darkness. Nobody sees you coming. 100%. Okay, that doesn't sound so bad. Here's the thing. When you come in the second coming, it gets even more complicated, but you're not ready for that information. You'll get it when you get here, okay? And then we'll give you the whole game plan, and then and only then you'll find out, okay? Because you just got to live the next 5 days, 100% faithful, 100% giving of your life willingly. Oh, by the way, you know Peter, the one who kind of betrays you? You need to go get him. We're going to tell him to take a sword, by the way, him and another one, because he's going to use it, and you're going to do this really miraculous thing, because this miraculous thing is going to teach, I hope, if people remember it, that you should not want to cause harm to someone else. You know how my Israelite nation was all war and take over land? I'm doing this differently because it just hasn't worked up until now. And so, long story short, I need people not to want to go to war unless they absolutely need to, which, we're warrior angels, so there it is. But all you need to know is, in life, you're going to have to say this, word for word. You're going to say, you're going to have to beat your swords into plowshares and your pruning shears It gets complicated after that. But here's what you need to know. In the moment, I'll tell you what to say, and then you'll say it, okay? You won't understand what that means, but it'll be a way of basically Peter all of a sudden chops off another soldier's ear, and you replace the ear, and then you heal. That's a new one. You've never done that, huh? No, that's so somebody's dismembered, I can automatically, yeah, we'll give it to you right in the moment. But it just, the disciples go, oh my goodness, and the soldiers, they go, why do we have to lock this guy up? Why? He just saved me my ear. So it helps on so many fronts. But that soldier, he ends up becoming one of those Christians, but he dies in 50 years, by the way, of just old natural causes. But he always professes faith in you, and he talks to a lot of people. There are so many people that talk about your death and coming back because it was so extreme, so excruciating, so like, I don't want to use that word, but kind of spectacular, that, there's no way you're not the chosen one of this time. And still people will say you're just fake or an imagination story, fairy tale, fantasy, and just a made-up story. But you know what? The majority of people will profess faith in you, and they will try to do the right thing, even though they often don't do the right thing. But they'll try to do the right thing, and that's all we care about. That's really, at the end of the day, love God, love your neighbor. You do that, boom, you're in, like 100%. Well, that doesn't seem so difficult. I mean, we have so many. I know. Those laws, Mosaic law, we do away with that. I mean, some of the Jews actually still carry on with that, but it's a thing, You can't blame them. It's a thing. The sacrifice thing, they stopped doing that, though, by the way, just so you know. Although, that little evildoer, he takes on that and takes it to a whole other meaning. So he creates his own little faction of little demonites. And, but they're humans this time. They're not the angels that went bad. The demonitis is what we call it, demotism. And so they don't get demonetized, okay? Because here's the thing. The evildoer is going to come back, and he's going to say, right before you die, he's going to give you kind of like a way out. He really doesn't want you to do in this way, but he cannot do anything because I put a roundabout way, a protection around you that he cannot touch you 100%. There's just no way. He can't touch you. That doesn't mean the people can't. So it kind of puts it into their hearts. That's why they're so hateful and mad and angry and upset at you. They just think you're the one in the wrong the whole time. They think you're the one in the wrong. They don't realize they're the ones in the wrong, and they never realize that until their last day. And then I have a conversation with them, and boy, oh boy, they're going to hate that conversation. But you know what? You die for all humanity, even though the majority don't even listen to you. Can I just ask a question? Yeah, sure, go ahead. What majority doesn't listen? Ooh. You don't want to know that answer. I kind of do. Well, it's complicated. You keep saying that God is complicated, it's complicated. What does that mean? Free will. There were some that will profess faith. Then there will be some that lose the faith in between. Some will go back to the ways they did. Worse yet, they'll go and serve the one that you keep saying don't. You know how you keep saying? He keeps doing all kinds of really bad stuff, and he blinds the minds of the unbelievers. Yeah, that one. They go worship him in so many different ways. It's complicated. Okay. Whoa. But the majority do. Right? They really do care? Okay, here's the truth, okay? It's a small minority of the massive amount of population, but in the end of the day, guess what? We're going to have a whole moment, and we're going to say, basically, look, did you do the right thing as much as possible as for you? Because there's so much craziness in the world, we can't really hold everybody responsible 100% of the time. More like 35% of the time, okay? So we actually focus from now on, not on what you did or didn't do, verbatim, law, legal code, right? The Mosaic law, we're doing away with that thing. That's just so depressing to people. They're like, how can I do this if I don't have money to pay for a dove to be able to sacrifice it? Seriously, pennies, they're going to call them pennies in the end. But the denarius code, yeah, some people don't even have that much. You mean the denarius code? No, the denarius. Oh, got it. Well, can I think about it? No, you can't. You got to we need an answer now because, if you're not the one, then we got to choose somebody else. But we really are hoping you're the one because, this has to happen this way. We just know it works out. Technically, it's my fault. Technically, because, I created this earth to be inhabited for people to be happy, and then you had the evildoer go and do the evil thing, and now it's all complicated, and now I said, look, that's when I put that prophecy into the book of what's called Genesis. Yeah, that one. Well, basically, I will have my chosen one, in essence, stomp you in the head, but you'll hurt him in the feet. Well, he kind of hurts you in the feet right here, right now. So that's the half of the prophecy. When does the other half come? In the last day. You stomp him with your foot, symbolically, obviously, because, he doesn't hurt you in the foot, because, he hurts your whole body, really. But, it's a measure of people understanding, the foot, you get hurt, you'll heal. Worst case, you just have to cut it off, big deal. But you damage the head of a snake, what happens? Oh, they're done, they're obliterated. Yeah, that's what we do to the evildoer. That's why you say he walks around like a roaring lion seeking to devour someone, and basically, he keeps doing that, and he just wants to devour people. He makes more loudness than anything, and people just get scared, and if they profess faith in you, though, I will deliver you from them. Well, eventually, because they may die at his hands, just so you know. This is complicated. I know. Well, what do we have to do? You really ready? I don't think I'll ever be ready. You sure you're not ready? I'm confused at the question. You're not really ready. So I'm going to give you some blessings this week, okay? You're going to learn some knowledge day in and day out. I need you to wake up like 5 hours earlier than you already do. I'll give you special energy to get through this, okay, last week. And you're going to be like rocketing because you got to get a lot of stuff done because it's a limited time. Like this time is closely approaching. You have a limited time to wrap up all the little loose ends, okay? You're going to wrap up so many loose ends. It's going to be crazy, okay? You're just going to do a lot of stuff. And it talks to the people are like, wow, this could have been like done in a century. Well, I'll be on God. Can I just say something? Yeah. I kind of thought we had more time. I know you thought you had more time. I mean, I hate to say this, but I really don't want to go just yet. I've learned to love them. What's going to happen to my family, my brothers and my sisters, my immediate family? What's going to happen to my mom? Oh, them? Well, they half of them believe and the other half don't. It's complicated. What do you mean? Well, it's going to be put out there that somebody just stole your body. You're going to do this miraculous thing. It's really amazing. It's really cool. It's never been seen before. But in reality, they put it out there, the political agenda here and now, are going to put it out there that you just got your body robbed. And half of your family is going to say, yep, that sounds about right. Jesus, we remembered him being all human. He couldn't have been the chosen one, right? Remember when you met with them like a week and a half ago and they're like, this is our brother, is it not? Like, seriously. That one, you know the other haughty brother that you have? Yeah, he doesn't believe. All the way to the end. Huh. You know the sister you really love? Yeah. It's complicated. What do you mean it's complicated? It's complicated. She wants to believe you're the chosen one, but your brother gets into her head, and he kind of, in essence, follows the evil path eventually. Oh, okay, well, that's a heavy load. Yeah, I know. But you have, the youngest brother that you have? Yeah. He 100% believes. Really? Yeah. That's all I can let you know, okay? It's free will. We already know majority because they seek to do good no matter what. And then there's some that they're kind of on the fence. They're right in the middle. They're straddling the left. They're straddling the right. They don't know what to believe. All right, back to your oldest brother's kind of right there right now, okay? But if we see what we think is going to come, we just think he's going to go all to the right. You understand that? And, it's complicated, but, when he dies eventually, you get reunited, and then you don't hold any hard feelings to him because you're like, well, it's not easy. It's not easy living on the earth. I mean, it's not easy, right? Right? You don't even want to know about vehicles. What's a vehicle? You don't want to know. Trust me. It gets so easy for people in the last day that, boy, they're just like whipping through the air. What? They have wings? No, they don't have wings. They have machines. And these machines just like, it's like really cool. What's a machine? I don't know what's a machine with. Okay, all right. It's not the time to joke. But look, son, you're ready to do this, right? Well, if you have my back, Father. I mean, you've had my back ever since the beginning. I've never been left without food. I know, that was pretty cool, the miracle with the fish and the loaves. You always thought it was going to be just wine to water, or water to wine, whatever it is. You're just like, you know what? That's pretty cool. I could turn any water into wine, but you've never been left without, right? Yes. But you know what? In the last day, people don't look too kindly at poor people. What do you mean they don't look kindly at poor people? I tell them, feed my sheep, the lowly and the downtrodden. I mean, they're your sheep, but feed our sheep. Yeah, well, yeah. There's more homeless people on the earth, and people don't really look at them and or care. Not really. The majority are just like, not my job. Well, walk the other way. Remember that story about the parable? The Samaritan? You know why that story is so important? Because people are going to forget. They're going to call themselves, oh, they were a Samaritan. But then, the very next minute, they see a homeless person there, and they just kind of, they ignore them. Just like beaten, downtrodden. And in those last days, a lot of homeless people get beaten up. It's sad. It would infuriate you. Yeah, it's infuriating me now. This is ridiculous. Back to the evildoer. He just puts so much gossip in the realms, he complicates matters. And they get confused. It's so difficult for them, They don't know what to believe. Half of the Bible they even think is wrong. What do you mean half of the Bible? It's not called the Bible, but it will be called the Bible. It's called the Hebrew Scriptures. Well, now there's a whole other book being written with that, and they'll be basically bound together in, it's not a scroll anymore. It's complicated, but it's a device that you, do this. Huh. But as small as it is, it's not that big scroll. The majority of people just let it sit there. They don't even touch it. You know how you got to roll it out, get to the verse, and then you're like, oh, yeah, what's a verse? It's a thing that they come up with. It's a really cool system. I love it. It's Tyndale. He comes up with this, and I'm just like, you're a great man. And he comes up way down the line. There's all kinds of men scattered throughout life. Men of faith, we call them. And women of faith. Don't forget the women. Oh, my God, the women. I forgot to tell you about this. You know the women that the Jews completely feel like they're all here and the women are all down there. They're there to serve them and this and that. That really went south. What do you mean? Well, there were some things that they probably put in the Hebrew Scriptures that they ended up thinking they were better than the women on this earth. They're not. Technically, the women are right there, right above. Because they do more than most men do in their lifetime. And trust me, the women are going to know this. You know that scripture in the Proverbs about the capable wife? Well, it's not just a capable wife. It's the single ladies out there. Single ladies, all the single ladies. All the single ladies, all the single ladies. Seriously, they all are so gifted. In fact, the majority of them, their husbands actually leave them for other women. It's complicated. That stuff never stops. And they leave the childless boy and or girl with the mom the majority of times. I mean, sure, sometimes it's the other way. Sometimes it's even more complicated than that. Technically, it gets, this whole Sodom and Gomorrah stuff. We allow all that stuff too. We just allow it all because we have to let people know that eventually we forgive everyone if they just try to do the right thing. But that's ambiguous because for some people it's this is right, that's right, this is wrong. But here's the real reality. True. We're taking out the evildoer. And without the evildoer, Then they're going to find out all of the stuff in their head, all the little sciences, all the little things that they ended up coming with. Not all of it good. You know, there's a thing called an atomic bomb. Somebody figures out that. What's an atomic bomb? I don't know what's a oh yeah, you're not ready for a joke. Okay, so an atomic bomb is this thing that explodes really massive. You remember Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah. That makes that look like peanuts. What are peanuts? These little you're not ready for a lot of this. You see why we tell you you're not ready for this information? They're little nuts, okay? That's all you get. But, imagine an elephant, okay? You know what an elephant is, right? No. That's right, you didn't have elephants here. That's in India, by the way. What's India? Imagine a huge sculpture, okay? Now imagine your pinky, okay? There you go. That's the equivalent, okay? Okay. That's all you need to know. I'm still trying to process why I have to die again. Oh, it's a justice system that I kind of hold myself accountable for. In the end, it actually gets written eventually. You are the last Adam. You bring everybody to salvation because the first Adam disobeyed. Technically, people are going to look down at the women, but it's the Adam that disobeyed. He was the one I chose to create first. But they take it out of context. They think, all men are all better than women, and you should be relegated to that. So there's so much stuff I didn't know they were going to take out of context. Seriously, if I would have removed it all. But anyway, you need to just know this. You know the woman you saved, well, they call her, there's a lot of words for that, but so, you know how you said, ye that hasn't sinned, cast the first stone. You remember that one? Yeah. That's everybody. But they don't think they don't sin at this point. They don't even know what sin is. They forgot that. They took it out of their vocabulary. They just call it, I don't know, this is bad. Oh, well. They don't even call it sin anymore. I mean, the really faithful do. They really do. But then it gets complicated because even those, you know what? I just don't want to complicate it anymore. But it's going to be complicated for quite some time until the last day. And then the last day, I'm just going to make it, all right, guys, let's just do this because we're going to take out the evildoer 100%. We're going to smash him in the head. That's your second coming. Some will believe, some won't, and then some will just get it, and then others will have to learn it down the line. But they're all going to know this. They're all going to know that we're only going to take out the evildoer and his conspirators. That's all you need to know. Okay? Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot. I get it. Okay, I have one more question. We really thought you were going to have like 20 questions, but okay, go ahead. Question is this. If I die, no, never mind. No, go ahead, ask it. Well, if I die, I mean, I've only been here for 3.5 years. I mean, how does what I did in 3.5 years help people out? Oh. Well, back to the book. Okay, the book talks about your life, but not all of it. There's a lot of stuff we leave out. Remember that scripture that says if we would have written all of the, no book could ever carry all of your life, because there's a lot of details, right? Yeah. So we only hold on to the really 10% margin of what you did. But the 10% is the part that really helps people remember, I love them so much that I would give of you my only begotten son. In essence, my firstborn. I'd be a little I hate to say this, Father. Speak your mind. I'm sorry I didn't have more time. That's it. There's nothing we could do to make this longer? No. I mean, I thought I'd die at least at 50. I know. You had expectations we didn't want to squash before reality hit in. All right. Whatever we got to do next. On that note, there's one more thing you need to know. All right. When's it going to end? All right, go ahead. In life, we'll save that one. We'll save that one for another time. No, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm just processing. I'm trying to. All right, go ahead. All right. In life, there will be people that want to do good, but the evildoer makes it so complicated for them. Although they want to do good, they won't be able to do good. He complicates things for a lot of people from childhood upward. You know how he approached you as an adult? Yeah. He makes it harder for the youth. Remember when you were 12 and you were found in the temple? Yeah, of course. He attacks the youth, younger than even you. It's sad. So they go on through life doing more bad, more angry, more mad, more upset, more horrible throughout life. They want to believe, but they can't help it. They just don't know what love is. It's foreign to them. So the moment they get it, they suddenly feel like it's a foreign thing. Do you understand? No. I mean, all I've ever been shown is love. Yeah, I know. And some are going to say, well, who's he to have to, be the chosen one? Right. I get that. But in the end, you don't really care. You just want to save mankind, right? Yes. That's why I was born, to save humanity. I love these people. I mean, I get it. There are some that hate me, and they say a lot of bad words in their heart. I get that. You tell me what they say behind closed doors, and I mean, it is what it is, but whatever. Yeah, about that, yeah. So just know this, okay? Know this. In the last days, times will be difficult. Yeah, I know. I don't think you know. No. Times will be so difficult, life will not be worth living for some. What? Oh, yeah, about that. Whew. All right, so there'll be some on this earth that will want to commit suicide because they think that the bad thing that they did was so bad they end their life prematurely. They end it right there and then. They've given up all hope. They've given up all faith. They've given up every utterance that we ever said. 100%, they just end it like that. That's it. Like that. Well, that's no good, God. I'm really struggling here, God. It seems like people go from bad to worse and get more depressed and sad and mad and angry. I don't understand why I'm doing this thing. It's complicated. But the Bible passage I talked about earlier, all will eventually be saved. Completely true. It's just sad that some want to end their life right before Well, that's the thing. In the last days, it's going to seem like there's no hope. It's going to seem like there's nothing coming up around the corner. But that's when you walk in. Literally. You walk in and you utter some stuff, and all of a sudden people are like, what? What? There is hope for mankind? What? We're going to make and restore the earth to the way it was previously made to be? That's amazing. Oh my goodness, that's great. Wow. Oh man. You know that scripture in Revelation 21, 3 and 4? That basically happens both in heaven and on earth. It's a really interesting thing. It's a thing. And people just don't see it coming because, well, they focus on all the bad stuff. Armageddon is what it's called. You don't understand that word. You'll understand it eventually. Megiddo, it's a thing. It's a place, but it's a world thing. And the world thing, Armageddon, people fear this, but they shouldn't because it actually helps release them from all the bad, all the evil ones around the world. 100%. True. So we basically right what has been wrong forever. I thought I was going to do that here and now, but this is going to take some time. Yes. Oh, okay. But here's the great thing. Okay? The humans on this earth will have a measure of peace, have a measure of love, have a measure of everything. There's a lot of moments of peaceful times. There's moments of grandeur. There's moments of innovation. There's moments of a lot of really good stuff that it actually makes living tolerable on this earth for a very long time. Granted, a lot of people suffer, some people die early, some die prematurely, some die of their own hands, some die cause death on others. That part just never ends up. Gone. 100%. And in a way, they learn to love in between. But on the last days, oh man, those are going to be difficult. People are going to be like, what is going on? Am I living in a nightmare or what? Everything seems to be happening all quick, all fast, all at me. 100%. What am I going to do? And we hope they remember. We don't even care if they remember me. I'll be honest. I just hope they remember one another. Remember to have love for one another. Because at that point, I can't blame them. I really can't. I can't blame somebody for not believing in me after all. I let the guy run amok the whole time. They're going to say, why do you cause so much suffering, God? Why do you do that? Remember Job? Yeah, it's a prime example. That happens all over the earth, all the time. No matter what I say on this side, they can't understand because they can't hear me like you do. They just can't. Some will say they hear me. Remember when you said that scripture, that verse? I know that's a thing, future. But long story short, it's a verse. It's the part it's going to be written that you said, well, they will have gifts of prophesying, they will have gifts of healing, and they will cast out demons, yet I will say, I never knew you. Get away from me, you worker of lawlessness. Remember that? Yeah. That's what happens in the end. A lot of false people coming out, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many to do more bad. Some people will even call themselves like a Christ, like an anointed one, pretty much. You understand? Got it. Okay. Well, but remember we said, you will understand by the fruitages of the Spirit. That one gets complicated for a lot of people, but we basically want to simplify it and say this. You'll understand by the works they do, not by just what they say. They don't do what the serpent did and have a fork. You know how a serpent has a forked tongue? There's a reason for that, science, but it's kind of like having, do you remember that two-headed snake you saw at one time? You thought that was weird, huh? An abnormality? Yeah. Well, imagine the one on the right wants to go to the right and the other one wants to go to the left, but they're like, we only have one body. Well, basically, some people, they're like, you said you were from your offsprings of vipers. You know how you said that to the Pharisees and the Sadducees? I wanted to complicate their name, Sadducees. But seriously, they were Pharisees and Sadducees, the Jewish nation. Yeah, those little sect guys, well, they you know how you said pretty much you're from your father, the devil, and you do your works of your father? Nobody believes in the devil at the end of the day, so honestly, a lot of people believe that guy doesn't even exist. It's a fact. So, do not know what they do. They just don't. They're not here, so they don't understand our thoughts. That's why that other scripture says, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, so even though you think your thoughts are all right, here's the other thing. You ready? Sure, go ahead. there's going to be other prophets that are going to come. No, that makes sense. There's been prophets of the very beginning. Yeah, I know, but there's going to be prophets for all other, they're going to form other faiths, by the way. So you know that scripture where we say false gods, false prophets, and all that? Yeah. Well, the ones that really are really 100% good kind of preach and teach the same thing, by the way, but in a different way. And they profess faith in a different person. But we're okay with that because they preach love. At the end of the day, that's the unifying message with all future religions, okay? There's some that are here right now, you don't even know they exist, by the way. Really? Yeah, you haven't traveled that far. Huh. Okay. You good? Gonna have to be, right, God? Yeah, Look, I have faith in you. I had faith in you since I knew you from the very beginning. You know why? Why? It's simple. You weren't like Bartholomew. Who's Bartholomew? He has a lot of names, but the evildoer guy. That was his name in heaven. Oh, okay. You know what I saw in him? Kind of a haughty heart. You know how I knew that? He kind of went around like, You know how he looked down on you? Yeah. Kind of like your brothers. Kind of the same. I mean, he's younger than you, but he looks down at you because he's so much better at carpentry than you are. Remember that? Oh, yeah. He never let me forget it. Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's kind of the way Bartholomew was. That's all you need to know. Okay. Well, what's next? Glad you asked. So this is the last Sabbath, okay? All right, got it. Well, about that. Sabbath is going to be replaced in this Christian Greek of the Scriptures, okay? But we still care about the Jews, so we're going to let the Jews do what they do, even though they're the ones that put you to death. It doesn't matter, because they try to do what's right in their own headspace. So we're okay with that, okay? But it's going to be revamped. It's going to be called the Lord's Evening Meal, okay? Some will call it Last Supper. Some will call it, a lot of different things. Some even call it Easter. But anyway, I know, Bunny, you're like, what does a bunny have to do with me? It's complicated, but we allow it because, at least they're trying to think about you, okay? But here's the reality. There's another holiday coming up pretty soon. It's pretty kind of interesting. But, they believe you're still a baby in the they don't believe that. They know you're a mighty king, but they just keep picturing you as the baby. Because you know what? They're at least they're happy you were born. That's the very important thing. But then they just give gifts because it's the thing to do, and they don't really care. But anyway, long story short, we approve of that because you know what? At the end of the day, time is up. We're not going to correct anybody's thoughts and or behaviors at that point because you know why? Why? It's complicated, but we just want everybody to be saved. Each and every one of them. And the majority aren't going to understand that. They really aren't. They're just going to hold on to their beliefs, kind of like the Sadducees. Remember them? Oh, yeah, boy. There's a joke going around up here in heaven. We think it's going to be funny on earth, but anyway, the Sadducees. It's better in English. It's a language that hasn't quite become very popular yet. We speak Hebrew. It translates different. Anyway, it's like Spanish to English. It makes sense in Spanish, but it doesn't make sense in English. That's a whole other language you don't even know about that currently exists. But anyway, long story short. So look, in life, you're going to have to do the right thing, but that's going to go all around the world. You see that moon over there? Yeah. See how that's a circle? Yeah. Imagine a ball. You know a ball? You roll the ball? Yeah. Okay. You see that little black spot right there? Yeah. That one is, you're like a little smidgen out of that. Okay? Well, if that's a ball, and that's only a portion of the ball, the earth goes way around that too and populates the majority of all that. That's where humanity goes, and they populate that. That's interesting. It gets more complicated after that, but here's the thing. You know how the earth is all amazing? Garden of Gethsemane? Beautiful garden, right? 100% beautiful. They ruin places like that. chop down trees. It gets polluted. You don't even understand what pollution is. Just imagine what could be equivalent to it. You don't even understand. But imagine, okay, you remember that cave that we put you in that one time? Yeah. Remember it was all dark and kind of musty, and then there was like bad bat poop, and then like feces everywhere around you. It's just like, it stinks in here. It's like that on the earth. And they didn't make it this way by their machine. It's like, you know how you can make wood and stuff? They make stuff more advanced than wood, and it's so amazing, but then it also causes harm to my holy mountain. But the holy mountain isn't just my Mount Sinai, or just what people think my mountain is. It's the whole globe. But that little thing is smaller than this thing that you're on. It's amazing. When you see it up from, our vantage point, you're like, wow, that is just so beautifully created. But people are going to do so much bad in the end, they're going to pollute it in so many ways or cause it to be like feces everywhere that it's just like really almost irreparable. But they're going to think, it's always been that way since the beginning. But if they lived in your day, you'd be like, oh my God, I could breathe. They can't breathe. It's a thing. So the earth gets worse. Oh, and the oceans too, but that's a whole other ballgame. Okay. All right. I don't even. All right. Let's do this. We're going to go with that, okay? Because we've run out of time. And that's the time that we have. Look, whether that conversation happened or didn't happen or somewhat happened or I'm just making it up, figment of my imagination, I hope that you found some truth in some of the verbiage and or the words I used. Life is difficult enough. That's true. I read a report this day that teen suicide is ever increasing at an alarming rate. And it made me think, I said, how bad does it have to get for us to have to remember why life is worth living to begin with? Why to keep pushing forward to begin with? I see adults, male, female, that are just trying to figure things out right now. And many have forgotten why so long ago those that they say or they profess faith in gave up his life quite willingly. I heard it said recently, and that made me really think, Jesus had to carry his stake with him, right? He did so willingly. What you will, not what I will. And I immediately thought, I think if we put ourselves there, I don't think it was that easy. He was still human. He felt what it was like to suffer as a human, feel hunger pains as a human, have to fall asleep and rest his head when he was too tired. I think he was 100% human, more human than any of us could ever imagine. For he had thoughts, heart emotion, cried profusely when Lazarus had died. He felt more than most people, I think, have ever felt before. It says he was able to discern the people's thoughts, to which I think, in ways, God told him what they were thinking. And emotionally, I think he just was able to have empathy for them, but I think it went to the next level. I think he was able to feel their emotions quite literally. A lot of people talk about energy and feeling of emotions. Sometimes two twins could be in a different location, and one person knows when the other person is affected, or they feel a loss of somebody. I think we're all interconnected in ways that we cannot understand. But here's what I know. I think if he had to do it over again and he saw the world where it's at right now, he'd probably cry. Why did I do this? They say they believe, but do they really? I'm glad the minority do. I'm glad. But the majority. Or does he say, I'm glad I gave up my life. The majority at least try to do the right thing. It's the minority that are causing the problems. And we'll give them a second chance too, eventually. They're still going to have to pay the penance. But there you go. All right, people, I'm running out of time. I appreciate you. We hope to speak to you again tomorrow on the morning show. But remember, whatever life you live, whatever path you're on, may it be one filled with love, may it be filled with hope. And if you don't have either one, just say this in your head. If you exist, can you help me? And then be willing to allow the people to come into your life and or your life to at least have more meaning than it currently does. I love you. I don't know you, but trust me, I love you. Bye-bye, everyone.